Imagine a vibrant night in the heart of New Orleans, June 24, 1973. Laughter and music filled the air at the upstairs lounge, a beloved sanctuary for its community. It was a place of joy, acceptance, and freedom, perched above the bustling streets of the French Quarter. But as the evening wore on, an unseen menace lurked, ready to shatter this peace and plunge an entire community into an unimaginable nightmare. The flames that erupted that night would not only consume a building, but would expose the chilling indifference of a society unwilling to acknowledge its own. Before we continue with this harrowing tale, please take a moment to comment, like, share, and subscribe to the Calendar of Crime so you don't miss future episodes. The upstairs lounge, located on the second floor of a 3-story building at 604 Iberville Street, was more than just a bar, it was a haven. It served as a meeting place for the local congregation of the Metropolitan Community Church, MCC, a pro-LGBT Protestant denomination. On this particular Sunday, many patrons were still gathered after an MCC service, discussing an upcoming fundraiser for the local crippled children's hospital. The atmosphere was festive, a typical Sunday evening gathering. Around 7:56 p.m., a buzzer from downstairs signaled an arrival. Bartender Buddy Rasmussen, an Air Force veteran, asked Luther Boggs to answer the door, expecting a taxi. Instead, Boggs was met with a horrifying sight, the front staircase engulfed in towering flames. Reeking of lighter fluid, an arsonist had deliberately set the fire, trapping those inside. Rasmussen, quick thinking, led about 20 patrons to a back exit, guiding them to the roof, and then to a neighboring building, allowing them to escape to safety. However, for many others, escape was impossible. They were accidentally locked inside the second-floor club, with burglar bars on the windows sealing their fate. Some desperately tried to squeeze through the narrow 14-inch gaps in the bars. One man, burning, managed to get through, only to fall to his death. Reverend Bill Larson of the MCC clung to the bars, his charred remains visible to horrified onlookers for hours. Luther Boggs, who first encountered the blaze, would succumb to his third-degree burns 16 days later. Firefighters, stationed just 2 blocks away, faced delays due to traffic and parked cars. One truck even crashed into a taxi while attempting to maneuver. When they finally arrived, they found bar patrons struggling against the security bars. The fire was brought under control quickly, but the damage was done. In a mere 16 minutes, 28 people died at the scene, with more succumbing to their injuries later, bringing the total to 32 fatalities. The response from some officials and the public was chillingly indifferent, with one officer reportedly stating, "This was, after all, a queer bar. The victims were fathers, sons, friends, and partners. Their lives were cut short by an act of hatred. Many churches refused to hold funerals for the deceased, forcing families to grieve in silence or face public scorn." Reverend William P. Richardson of St. George's Episcopal Church bravely held a small prayer service, only to be rebuked by his bishop and inundated with hate mail. Several families, fearing social stigma, never claimed the bodies of their loved ones. 3 unidentified victims were buried in a mass grave at Holt Cemetery, their identities unknown for decades. The official investigation into the arson attack ultimately failed to yield any convictions. The primary suspect was Roger Dale Nunez, a gay man who had been ejected from the bar earlier that evening after a fight. Police questioned Nunez, who had a history of psychiatric issues, but he was never charged. A friend later claimed Nunez confessed to starting the fire with lighter fluid, not realizing the extent of the devastation it would cause. Nunez died by suicide in November 1974, and the case was officially closed in 1980, leaving many questions unanswered and justice unserved. The upstairs lounge arson attack remained the deadliest attack on a gay club in U.S. history until the 2016 Orlando nightclub shooting. For years, the tragedy was largely ignored or downplayed, a painful testament to the societal homophobia of the era. However, in recent decades, efforts have been made to remember the victims and acknowledge the profound impact of the event. Memorials, documentaries, and commemorations now ensure that the 32 lives lost that night are not forgotten, serving as a stark reminder of the ongoing fight for LGBTQ+ rights and acceptance. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.